Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. We got a smaller crew than normal tonight. We've got in the house, we got Sydney Taylor, we got Ryan Scow, and we got Spaghetti Lee wearing that very cool Zappa shirt over there. So tonight's topic, seeing as it's now 2022, I figured we'd get started off, kind of ringing in the new year with a little discussion of what we can expect from this year, like from a musical perspective. So, before we kind of started taping, we were talking about new album releases that are noteworthy coming out this year that we know of so far, the tours that have been announced. Maybe we've got tickets to shows that are, a month or two or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 months away. And we still kind of don't know what's going on because COVID has been rearing its ugly head once again. With a vengeance. So, what's going to happen and whatnot. So I think before we kind of start talking specifically about like certain releases, maybe we get a little feedback from each one of you on kind of what your expectations are this year. You think there's going to, we'll start with you, Sydney. It's like, do you think that we're going to get some really good albums released this year? Any in particular that you've heard about that you're looking forward to? And as far as like concerts, like have you purchase tickets to anything that's upcoming that maybe you're a little worried about that you hope you can see but you're not sure?
Yeah, the first one that came to mind, which I know Ryan's favorite band, but I have tickets to see Ghost with Volbeat at the beginning of February, and that's the main one that I'm worried about because technically it's supposed to be an all vaccinated show, but it's still going to be winter. That's only about a month from now, a little over a month from now. And we saw some shows get postponed. I was supposed to see Hailstorm and Evanescence at the end of 2021. They were supposed to play here in the Philly area the beginning of December. And I was supposed to do this live broadcast for the station I work for. And that ended up getting postponed. So it's like we're kind of starting to see that again. So I'm a little bit nervous about that show. So fingers crossed that happens. As for any other shows at the moment, I don't have any set in stone tickets that I bought a while ago to anything other than that. So kind of be feeling it out and seeing, if things actually happen. As for record releases, I'm looking forward to the new Megadeth, which that was a very up in the air process. If you've been following everything that has happened with Megadeth over the course of the last year, they got rid of David Ellefson and re-recorded his parts. But according to Dave Mustaine, it's now in the hands of, that's been mixed and mastered and everything, and it's ready to be released. So looking forward to that. I believe the new Scorpions is going to be out this year in February.
Yeah, Rock Believer. Yeah, that's coming out.
The first single was really good, and got the Scorpion sound to it, and they can do really no wrong by me anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying to think off the top of my head of. I really was also very unprepared for this, the more I think about it. But those are the two albums that I think I'm most excited to hear, just because I've been hearing about them. I've been anticipating the Megadeth one now for months, just because of this whole debacle. It's just kept coming up in media outlets and the press and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure you guys saying stuff will spark stuff in my head too. So
Sydney, did Ghost book an arena in Philly? Because last time they played in New York, they booked the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That's a big NBA.
Yeah, that's 15,000 or
that's a big one. They are playing it's BB&T Pavilion, so it's basically it's Bethel Woods, for you guys. It's just kind of
right.
Yeah, so it's a decent sized place, but since it's going to be in February, what they do is they close the lawn off, so they have a covering that goes around,
really,
kind of into an arena ish, but it doesn't hold that many people. It holds, I think, BB&T, I think holds 7 or 8,000. Right? Yeah, it's in Camden.
Camden.
Yeah, so
I didn't know that any of them did that for the winter. I thought they were all
they don't do it up here.
Summer.
Yeah.
No, Jones Beach. I've never seen any of them do that.
Yeah, no, I actually have never been to the venue when they've done that. And I was gonna do it or be there back when Hailstorm was supposed to be there, and then that got postponed. So I hope I'll be able to see it. maybe if not this year or next year, but fingers crossed that happens. But yeah, no, they're playing there. It's like I said, I think 7,000 or 8,000 capacity, so it's not huge, but a pretty decent amount, So
I gotta say, I'm like, I like Ghost. I don't dislike them. I'm not quite sure I like the direction they're going in a little, but I'm pretty amazed that they're booking places 10, 12,
Yeah.
15,000 seats. That's pretty impressive for them. I mean, hey, good for them.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I was shocked they booked the Barclays Center.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, Maiden plays there. Judas Priest plays.
Yeah.
I saw them
Right.
there opening for Maiden, and I mean, obviously Maiden can sell that place out, but that is kind of surprising to hear.
Yeah.
We'll see how it rolls. Yeah. And by the way, the Megadeth album is called "The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead," and so far there's no release date yet. So we'll see.
That's an appropriate name for given the current time. Thanks, Dave Mustaine.
I mean, you knew, right? So
Just a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan, how about you? You got anything that is on the release schedule for this year you're looking forward to? And how about any shows you've got tickets for? Right?
Well, I have several festival and concert tickets that I've held for a couple of years now. I bought tickets to go to a Maryland Death Fest, which I go to every year since 2008. So I bought tickets for 2020, which got canceled. Same lineup was bumped to 2021, got canceled. So now it's supposed to be 2022, Memorial Day weekend. If anybody's in Baltimore, wants to come buy me a beer, I'll buy you a beer. We'll have a great time. So we'll see. I'm supposed to go to Houston in April to see this fest called Hell's Heroes. The headliners are Exciter, Candlemass, Satan, and Dark Angel. So that's like a good classic metal fest. But Candlemass is coming from Sweden, Exciter's coming from Canada, Satan's coming from there you go. Oh, great album. Satan's coming from England. So are any of those bands going to be able to travel? Obviously, I'm not worried about the fest happening in Texas. I think that'll probably happen. I think by April. Trying to be optimistic, but as far as like international bands, I'm just kind of like, just wait and see. Because at this point, there's no way to know. It's kind of early. Obviously, like the sky's falling right now, but that's like 4 months away. So, I was always kind of worried the winter was going to get fucked, and it looks like it has. So the next concert I have on my schedule is in March. I'm going to go see Overkill in Poughkeepsie, New York, at the Chance Theater. I just saw Overkill a couple weeks ago in New Jersey, and they were fucking amazing. Great crowd. It's a little while since I've been in an old-fashioned circle pit. Busted some people up. It was a good time. So I'm looking forward to that. Even though anybody that's been to the Chance, that pit area is not really conducive for circle pits. It's a little
not
too
a
small.
lot of room there. Not a lot of room.
So yeah, it's like a rectangle pit. Yeah, this little tiny area. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. So what else we got? Yeah, I spent a lot of money to get tickets to see Iron Maiden next October. So we'll see. I mean, that's almost a year away. So I'm kind of more optimistic about that. And I bought tickets to go see a fest in freaking Bergen, Norway. Again, like years ago. It's been canceled and rescheduled. So that's supposed to be August. So we'll see if I can travel to Europe, or I don't know. I'm trying not to think about it too much right now, but that's like a black metal fest in Bergen, which is a beautiful city on the fjords, beautiful little right down the coast of Norway. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, obviously all this Omicron shit kind of, was a curveball that nobody saw coming, but I just always kind of assumed the winter was going to be kind of like shitty for this stuff. So I didn't there's no real content that I was looking forward to in the winter. So I'm like, okay, that's good, because nothing's going to get postponed, canceled. But I don't know. I'm trying not to worry about it too much. I'm going to wait till like March before I start to worry. I'll give it like 3 months. I figure that's a safe, because the next 2 months are just going to be probably a wash. Anything you're planning on seeing, I'm sorry, I think it's going to get canceled or postponed. So, but I mean, shows are still happening, like in New York City. They're still happening. Obviously you need the vaccine, you need masks and all that, but it's better than no show at all. So, as far as albums, actually a lot of my favorite bands are going to release albums this year. A lot of obscure bands, but the two biggest ones are Voivod. They put out a new song, which is great, called, I think, I forget the name of it already. The album's called, I think, Synchro Anarchy. That comes out in February. That sounds great. Obviously, Piggy's no longer in the band. He died years ago, and Blackie quit. But the new bass player they got, Rocky, is phenomenal. And the guitar player they got, this guy Chewy, used to be in this death metal band called Martyr, which I never really cared for, but he's like Piggy incarnate. He's got his own thing going on.
Yeah,
He's excellent. He's excellent.
Yeah.
Voivod is great in their current lineup.
They are.
Really good. They're real good.
The last album, The Wake, was phenomenal, and when I heard this new one, this sounds great. So I pre-ordered that CD, vinyl, T-shirt, the whole works. And one of my other favorite bands, not Ghost, Destroyer 666. They get an album coming out this year too. No release date yet. So I'm gonna. Those are the two big ones I'm looking forward to.
Cool.
And hopefully I don't eat all that money in concert tickets and stuff.
Right.
So
yeah, right. I know. It's like oof.
We'll see how that goes. But there'll be some
on the schedule for this year. They don't have release dates for either one of them, but both Merciful Fate and King Diamond have releases on the calendar this year. They don't have a date though.
All right. I know. Well, King Diamond put out that new song. Maybe, was it last year or the year before? It was a little while ago. Maybe it was last year.
Yeah. It was like I think it was the year before.
It was. Yeah, it seemed like a while ago. It was a good song.
Yeah.
I generally like all the. I mean, at the last album Merciful Fate put out was 9, if I'm correct, which is a little over 20 years ago now. And I thought that was good. I liked all the albums they put out in the 90s. Obviously, nothing will ever touch Melissa and Don't Break the Oath. Those are amazing. But all the other stuff I thought they put out was solid. So I'm sure that's going to be good. Depends on who's in the band, though. I haven't really looked into I'm supposed to. So I know a lot of people are actually supposed to see, Nick included. We're supposed to see Merciful Fate this past year in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
that got canceled. Well, the fest didn't get canceled, but Merciful Fate didn't come over. But I am supposed to see them in Norway. They're one of the headliners for that. It's called Beyond the Gates. So I'm supposed they're one of the big headliners. I think one of the other headliners is, you know what? I don't remember. It's been so long since I bought the damn tickets. But Merciful Fate was the #1 headliner. So I've never seen them. They're like high on the bucket list of classic bands I've never seen.
Yeah, I haven't either. Believe it or not.
I know so many people talk about that infamous show at the Capitol Theater in Jersey back in like 84, 85 when they came on at midnight. And, I know people just rave about that. But I was like, this tall when that came out. So when that happened. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully Merciful Fate puts out an album, kicks ass. Hopefully King Diamond does, and it kicks ass. We shall see. I like to see King Diamond again, too. It's been a little while.
That's the thing about those festivals in Europe is that there's one, God, and I'm blanking on the name. I've been trying to think of it. It's crazy. It's like a week long or something. It's not
Wacken?
No, it's not Wacken either. I'll comment it because I'll go when we get off and I'll find it.
Hellfest?
It's like, maybe it's Hellfest. It's one of them. It's in Europe. It's like
Hellfest is a couple days easily. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's a long, and it's the lineup. I remember when I saw it, it just like blew my mind. And I really, for like 5 seconds, was like, I think I might. But it's the hard thing is that right now it's like, I don't want to buy anything, like that or a trip like that. Because it's like, as good as the lineup looks, it's like, oh man, is it actually going to happen? Or like, am I going to go through all the trouble of getting airfare or, doing all this stuff to only, have to reschedule it. So
Hellfest is really an interesting festival because you have like basically bands of every era on this bill. So you could have like, Cannibal Corpse followed by Blue Oyster Cult any day of the week or any day of the show.
Yeah. They just throw everybody together. That's very European though. They'll do that. It's just like, they'll throw everything.
Yeah, they started that.
It's Hellfest. Yeah. Like there's like on one day, like, Deep Purple, Megadeth, Scorpions, Sepultura, awesome. Obituary, Volbeat, Metallica, it's insane. Hatebreed, Nightwish, Alice Cooper, Guns N' Roses, Airborne. Like it's just like it's insane. As
long as you're moderately heavy, we're gonna invite you, right? Basically.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I really want to go, and they announced it I think like a month and a half ago, but it's like at this point to buy tickets and go through the whole ordeal of figuring it out, it's like just so they can look at you, and it's supposed to happen in June, so it's like you think maybe by the time the summer happens we'll be in a better place.
Yeah, but and there's all the issues in between, the travel restrictions. You got to show your vax on the plane. You don't know if the country you're going into is going to let you in. everybody's got their own policies and their own, ordinances on this. It makes it really sticky.
So I wish
It's
you luck,
tough, yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah, I
wish
know
you
it's,
luck.
it's tough. Yeah, just getting there is going to be, and then you spend
Yeah.
all that money, and at the last minute you take a test, and it's like, oh, you test positive, and now you just wasted a couple $1,000.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it's
Oh,
I don't even like to think about that stuff. It's very you know,
no.
it's depressing.
I'll be putting all the good vibes out for you as it gets closer. That ends up working out.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at my release list here. So and again, I don't know how far into he's recording, but there's a new Ozzy album listed on the schedule.
Oh.
Who the hell? Yeah, who knows? There's a new Rammstein album listed on the schedule. There's a new Anthrax, Avenged Sevenfold. Saxon's supposedly releasing a new album like in February or March.
Wow,
Well,
nice.
Wow. That's soon. The last one was good. Saxon's been good lately.
Yeah, they've
Yep.
always been very solid.
Yeah.
Yep. New Crowbar, New Blood Incantation. Got new Jethro Tull, first album in like 20 years or 20 something years, whatever it's been. That's coming out, I think, relatively soon. The new Porcupine Tree, they're coming back with their first new album in quite a long time as well. So, there's some pretty notable things happening, but I think when I looked through the list, I saw very little like metal or hard rock listed so far because it's only
Are you guys as surprised as I am that there aren't more new studio albums or people doing solo albums or side projects? You would think that bands being forced to stay home would maybe get creative in their home studios or get with their buddies, or they work on their own studio albums. Like, I'm surprised there's not like a ton more studio records.
I think 2021, there was a lot more than 2020 for sure. And I think we did see more of that type of thing. But what I heard from a couple of people that I've spoke to is that, it obviously costs money to put these albums together, and then you can't go out and tour for them, right? And so they're worried about just putting all the time and effort, even if they're all doing it remotely, to create these albums, and then they get no return on it hardly, because then, people just aren't buying albums. So I think that's a big problem, is people can't go out, and because I know of some bigger bands who have been kind of holding on to releases, or held on to releases till they knew they can go out and tour a little bit. So it's a pretty sticky situation that is in right now.
I can tell you too, talking to two conversations I had with two guys that run small record labels, but I think small labels are big, like at least for vinyl. There's only a couple places on the whole planet that press vinyl records. Doesn't matter if you're Atlantic Records or some like little bedroom deal in like Utah.
Right.
One guy told me from the time from when you submit an album right now to when they press it and get it back in your hands, it's almost up to a year. It's crazy.
Wow.
The companies, I guess it's the process of actually making like the stuff that press the record, and then the actual different plant that presses the record. They're both having all the supply chain problems and stuff. So he's like, yeah, I'll submit an album. The CD can come out in a couple weeks, couple months. Like, that's still kind of delayed, but like the album, they're like 11 months. So, you're talking like the band's ready to go. Here's the album. You got to wait a freaking year to get it back in your hands and then sell it. So that's got to probably.
It's just streaming, and then it's like you ain't making shit off of that. So.
Right.
Yeah, you really got to get the physical product out. Yeah. And still, even though people do stream, but when you say I'm releasing an album, no one's like, I'm releasing an album on Spotify only. Like that. We're not.
Yeah,
we're not
yeah. There are definitely some, but it's like, again, now it's especially now when you're not being able to tour, if I'm going to put all this effort into doing an album, I better be getting some money in return for that,
Well, touring is really the only way they're pulling in any real money.
So, you're definitely not going to go through all that trouble just to be like, hey, unless you're really just trying to, hone your craft and work on, music because you really want to. And yeah, you're cool just releasing on Spotify. Also, in the same thing of what you were saying, Pete, I feel like also a lot of bands, maybe like the older bands that we know of that could maybe release a record, like a lot of them don't do a lot of stuff remotely, so like they want to be together and they want to do stuff together, so like that's another thing of they can't because they either live in different countries or different states, or same rules as to why we
And
can't
I
get
will say,
rules.
and I will tell you this from experience, in trying to get some of these great rock stars who are a bit on the older side, they are not really hip with technology.
Yeah. Still rocking the flip phone.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to get them on a Zoom call can be
Yeah.
challenging. And in a lot of cases, they don't even want to do it because they're like, I don't know how to do this, navigate this video call thing. So just imagine trying to remotely create music with your bandmates who are all over the place. So yeah,
Recorded Pro Tools by yourself, you know, in your home studio and making things sound, you know, great. And it's just it's a whole process. And a lot of those older bands, maybe the newer bands might be a little bit easier just because, you know, that's the way that it's been, you know, for a lot of them. But you know, you're looking at some of these older bands and, you know, they're used to recording together and not separately, and, you know, having an engineer in the room with them. And
Right.
you know, it's a whole different world that I think to some of them it's like, you know, why do it? Like, let's just wait
Right.
until
And miss the chemistry of all being in the same room,
Yeah.
catching on a riff, creating together, writing together. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Speaking of that, I can tell you, I was reading the new Voivod album coming out. They took advantage of the time, you know, of not being able to tour, so they did a lot of that remotely. That this is according to their drummer Away, I believe. And they're, you know, they started in the early '80s. They're an older band,
Yeah.
and they were able to do a lot remotely, you know, because they live up in Montreal, or just Quebec, so they were able to get around some of the restrictions by working remotely. But on the other side, I think even Nick mentioned this in another episode. The Irish band Primordial, it was a little newer. They started in the early '90s, but still kind of an older band at this point. Their singer Alan said, "We will not do that. If we're going to record, if we're going to write music and rehearse, we have to be in the same room together. And if we're not going to fucking do it." They said that's the only way. We'll break up the band before we do the Zoom shit. And he's like, "This is the only way for us to play music, because we have to be in the room, writing and sweating together, and, like, you know, banging out the riffs and, you know, jamming. And that's the only way we'll do it." So I guess a lot of
people saying that. Yeah, I've heard it.
That's totally respectable too.
It really depends on the band. Depends on the band, and you know what they're what they're used to doing. I know there's a band, like a heavy psych jam band called Elder. You guys may be familiar with, but it's they all live in different countries, and they are accustomed to, you know, putting something into a laptop, and then some guy in California riffs on it, and then it goes to Berlin, and the other guy riffs on it, and they're capable of doing it. But these are young guys. These guys are like in their 20s. So I'd imagine it would be hard for older bands. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
I mean,
what,
if you can make it work, if you can get like that vibe down where you can make it work, absolutely, yeah.
I'm curious about the Voivod, Ryan. The newer Voivod. They, you know, their last album was really successful. The Wake was excellent, and they were invited to play the Montreal Jazz Festival, which was pretty interesting. And I know that they recorded with horns, so a live track, and they put it out on a little EP. I don't know if you've heard it. They do some of their later material with horns. It's pretty interesting. I wonder if they maybe we'll see some of that on the new record.
I remember hearing about that because I'm gonna look that up after this episode. I remember hearing about that, and it just like slipped my mind.
Voivod at a jazz fest. Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to believe.
They can kind of play anywhere though. I mean, they've been like apocalyptic thrash metal and like prog metal. Like
they pull it off. They pull it off.
They had an album that was pretty much like 90s alternative rock, and that was great too. So they could kind of do anything. You know?
What was that record? Hell Rat or something?
Angel Rat.
Angel Rat.
Angel Rat. It's like an early 90s. It like fits with like Soundgarden and stuff. You know, it's a cool album. It's great. I love it.
Spaghetti, you got any shows that you are going to, or?
Well, I, like you guys, I'm waiting a little bit, because when this happened, when this first lockdown all happened, I had to eat some money on some tickets, and I don't want to get caught in that again. So I'm pretty much waiting. If I have to go to a show, I'm going to go to a show. If I commit to going, I'm waiting until at least maybe 2 weeks before, and then I'll pick up a ticket. But I want to show you something. I have this little visual. This is a dry erase board I had in my refrigerator, and this will give you a little window into how my lifestyle has changed so much. I don't know if you could read that, but that is my show schedule from August 2019 to December 2019. Constant, man. Orange Goblin, Dweezil Zappa, Amorphous, Ginger, Earthless, OCs, The Well, Slayer, Monolord. Like every week I was going to shows. This is what I did. And I don't do this anymore. So
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I've
right there
been
with
to, I've been, and you know, it was on, it just like almost forgot. It's like on the refrigerator, just kind of hanging there. And it caught my eye the other day. And I'm like, man, things are different. Things are different. I think did you go to the Gingers or the Amorphous show? I remember seeing Steve Keeler at the Amorphous show.
No, I didn't. And you know why? That now it's like one of those shows where it's like, I'll see him next time. And then this shit happens.
Right.
And, man, I took that for granted. I'm not going to do that again. But between September and like the end of November, I was able to see probably close to 15 shows like this past September to November. So like for a while, I was like really kicking back up again. Like,
Right.
I saw Cradle of Filth, Overkill. I flew out to Texas for a festival. What the hell else we see? We saw like a bunch of underground death metal bands, like the band Deceased. Saw all kinds of stuff. Except you guys, now it's like nothing. So at least I got that little burst of cool
That little
stuff.
burst. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
that too when last June, I bought some tickets. I went and I think I saw Clutch in October. I saw Primus do the Rush album in early November, and a couple of club shows, little underground, little punk rock shows here in New York City, and that's it. I'm also like, I'm one of those old school guys that really likes a hard copy ticket stub. So I pay Ticketmaster the extra $5 to mail me the ticket, but that takes a minimum 10 days. So I have to leave that window in there. Like I have to commit like 2 weeks before and buy it. Cause I still like, the ticket on the phone is kind of convenient. And some of the shows you have to do it. There's some ticket agencies, some gigs in New York, like St. Vitus Bar in New York.
That's it. Yeah, it's only a dice app now.
You have to do it on the phone. And, but I like the hard copy ticket. So that makes it a little more difficult. As of now, there are a handful of shows, but I'm waiting, for February and March. I'm literally waiting, and I'll give it the 2 weeks ahead of time. And, I want to go. I want to go really bad, but I'm afraid of investing the money and then them canceling.
Mm-hmm.
I came this close to buying tickets to Testament and Exodus on the last tour. That got canceled. Those guys, I think they rescheduled and put some dates out, but I'm still leery with them. I think they may pull out.
It's hard to say. I feel like that you could probably get tickets for like the day of, and you'd be fine.
Yeah. Or just go down there that night. Judas Priest was playing an arena show here in Newark. They canceled that. That was a heart attack issue, but still depends on the local ordinances and what they're doing, what the cities have to say. But it's a waiting game now for live music. It's really a waiting game. There's a Desert Fest coming up, basically a Desert Stoner Doom type festival.
That looks pretty cool.
Supposed to have High on Fire.
Yeah, there's some good stuff
on the bill. But again, I'm waiting to buy tickets for this stuff.
I can tell you when this started, I had tickets for like venues like St. Vitus, like little venues. I had tons of tickets, and everything got canceled when COVID started. And they're like, if you want your refund, we'll give it to you. Yeah. But I'm like, man, all these venues are going to get totally hosed because they're losing all their income. So I didn't ask for refunds for anything. So I'm like, just keep the money, whatever. I'll buy another ticket down the road. Whatever. And I don't feel bad about that, but I probably ate like $200 altogether.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like all these little concerts. Yeah, it was a chunk of change. So I don't want to do that again.
Clubs.
Yeah,
exactly. The clubs, and also with St. Vitus, like I bought a bunch of merch off them. I'm like, they have to survive. Yeah. Like they please do not close the doors on that club, please.
Yeah,
so I have too much St. Vitus merch now. I'm just waiting for them to put boxer shorts out. I'm going to have pretty much everything head to toe St. Vitus Bar clothing. So, I don't want to see these venues shut down.
No, me either. All my favorite New York, like little venues, I was able to see a concert. Like I went to Vitus in November. There's like a dive bar called Lucky 13s, which it's kind of like, I got Go-Go Bar in front and a metal venue in back. I went there once. There's one called the Kingsland, which is another cool. It's not far from St. Vitus. I went there for a concert in December. So all those same venues, none of them closed. I'm hoping that trend doesn't break. I'm hoping people keep supporting them and this shit blows over. We can go back to going to them all the time.
The one that had to survive for me, and I know for you guys too, is the Chance. Like that was one that I had my eyes on
Oh, the chances
throughout
for
the entirety of the pandemic, and I was like, if this venue closes, like I will literally like lose my mind.
That would suck. It's an
well, that club,
institution.
that yeah, oh yeah, the chances forever. The club in Philly, the Kung Fu Necktie, that
Yeah.
made it,
Yeah.
right? That made
Yeah,
it.
that made it. The Voltage
Like-
Lounge here almost closed, but they put together like a petition and stuff, and like I think like a GoFundMe, and so they ended up making it. But then the thing is, a lot of like the venues here, mostly owned. There's not too many small like clubs here anymore. It's mostly just like Live Nation or AEG or whatever. But they actually are reopening Dobbs, if any of you are familiar with that in this area. They sold it and somebody finally bought it and now is reopening it as the music venue, which I couldn't believe after all of this that somebody had the funds to do that, but I'm like, that's awesome. So we'll have that back. Hopefully that doesn't go to shit now that this is all happening again. But yeah, no, I bought a lot of merch too last year, especially from a lot of these small businesses or like rock shops, not even just venues, like punk stores and stuff where I buy a lot of like my metal or rock stuff. So I feel that.
Yeah, and as far as the Chance, I mean, they had a good chunk of shows booked in the last quarter of 2021, which is good. But then we lost Frank and his sister
I know.
within a short time of each other, and like I haven't seen anything announced for like 2022 yet for the Chance. So you got to wonder like what
That
is
scares
going to do
me,
moving
yeah.
forward, right? It's such a tragedy. It's like you got
Mhm.
COVID, and then you have that. It's like how do you bounce back from that?
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you think that somebody
Oh, Overkill's booked, right? Overkill's coming up. soon,
Overkill's
just
right?
like, yeah, but I mean, have you heard about too much others? I mean,
No. I mean, you think though that somebody, either, again, that was just such a whirlwind that happened to that family in the last couple months. So I'm sure making sure the venue is saved would not be
Oh,
on the top of my priority list
Yeah.
either. But, you got to think that at least a friend or, somebody in that family, would keep that venue alive.
Yeah, please.
In memory
so.
of, the both of them. And, you got to think, I mean, it's been around for so long that, the thought of that not even being around anymore, just like, crushed.
Exactly.
well,
I don't know this.
anything else. We got nothing else like it here. That's
No.
No, they don't.
because right
It might-
now
it
what
might
we
be,
do have is in this area is you got Bethel Woods obviously, but that's for different type of music. You've got a lot of these theaters are starting to book at least like good hard rock acts and some other stuff
Paramount, yeah.
like the Paramount in Middletown, the Paramount the Paramount in Peekskill, the theater in Tarrytown, places like that hold like 1,500, 2,000 people or something. It's nice and comfortable. So there's plenty of those. And up in Albany, I mean, Albany's got a couple of nice. You got the Palace, you got the Egg. So I mean, there are places around, but then there's Kingston.
You need general admission places that book shows like Overkill. Like that's none of those other places are going to do that. So you need that general admission only. Kind of greasy. Like that's an institution. That's my favorite kind of place. I'll go to shows with seats, but that's always like an exception. Like I need cheap beer and basically general admission, like a regular
just
club.
A big floor, and a stage.
There's one venue here in Philly, the TLA, that's very similar to that. It's got like it's owned by Live Nation, but it was a movie theater, so they renovated it into a venue, and it has that kind of vibe of like, I think it was renovated before it was bought by Live Nation, so it has that kind of like Chance, not quite the Chance because it doesn't have the history of the Chance, but it has that kind of like energy of it's a floor, there's no seats.
That's a cool venue. I went there once. I thought it was really cool. I thought the sound was cool. It was a nice setup. I enjoyed it a lot. I was totally into it.
Speaking of the Chance, and not to get too nostalgic, I cannot remember a time when the Chance didn't exist. They have been around forever. I mean, when Slayer and Metallica were underground bands, I mean, literally forever, right? Pete, do you know when they opened? I mean, they've always been.
They've always been there. I mean, they were called the Last Chance before I started going to shows, and I remember, when I started going to concerts in the early '80s, they were there. I mean, so I don't know any.
They've outlasted everything.
Chance in that spot, yeah.
All the ones, the Ritz, L'Amour's, Sundance, the Chance,
Just
the last one standing. The last one standing.
All the classic New York ones, CBGBs, the Limelight, the Wetlands. City Gardens. They're all gone. All of them, except for I think every old New York venue is gone now. I don't think there's a single one left. Like the old class of Roseland Ballroom. Yeah, the Ritz is gone. The Roseland Ballroom's gone.
Roseland. What a
Yeah.
shame, man.
Yep.
The Roseland was there for like 100 years. That's a shame
Yeah.
to lose something like that. The Beacon still exists. The Beacon.
Yeah, Beacon's still there. That's and there's a jazz club that's been there for literally
Knitting Factory. Knitting Factory's been there a while.
Well, the Knitting
it's gone.
Factory used to be on that was on
it's
Leonard
different now.
Street, and
It's
now it's in
different now.
Brooklyn. Yeah, it's different. It's
Yeah.
in Brooklyn, but I don't know if it's the same owners. They still call it the Knitting Factory.
They're different
new
now. They're
place
in
is
the
cool.
record business, everything. They're
Yeah, it's a cool place. Like the new place
Yeah.
is cool, but it's not the old Knitting Factory. No.
no.
I think the Bottom Line is still there, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. An old jazz club.
I don't know.
I've been there.
I know the Blue Note is still there, but
The Blue Note. That's what I was
Blue
thinking.
Note.
Of. The Blue
Yeah,
Note.
Blue Note's
Yeah,
cool.
that's been there forever.
yeah,
But yeah, like
Irving Plaza.
yeah.
But-
Irving Plaza's still there.
Irving
That's
That's
Plaza
what we
doesn't
have now in New York City. You got Irving Plaza, you got Highline Ballroom, you've got Hammerstein, you've got
Did Webster Hall close?
Gramercy. What's that?
Webster closed, but did it reopen? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
I
know.
thought I saw something about them closing, but then I thought I saw. I couldn't tell if it was like for good, or if it was just like
That's it. Like we don't. Is it gone forever? That's.
Yeah, I saw some
Oof.
great shows. I saw Satan there. I saw not Venom, but Venom Inc. there. I
Yeah.
saw all kinds. I saw a lot of crazy death metal shows there because Webster was one of those cool venues where it's like 3 levels. It's like
Yeah.
the big
Webster Hall's
ballroom,
cool.
like
Yeah.
the medium room, and then
Yeah.
the basement. And they all had different shows going on. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a cool place. That was right in like Midtown Manhattan or right below Union Square. Sorry, so that was expensive real estate. Yeah, the rents drive all these places out too.
Yeah.
It's brutal. But
So for me, I mean, I've got this is what I have invested so far for 2022. So I still have my Priest ticket, which for Jersey, and that got moved to March 30th, I believe. So now Sabaton's not on the bill anymore. I forget who's on the bill now.
Queensryche.
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 Okay, well,
Is that right?
I'm pretty happy about that actually because
I
I
might
I could care less about
I say
Sabaton.
that's an upgrade.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. So that's pretty cool. So we'll see if that happens. I got my brother and I are going to see Maiden. That's in October, also in Jersey. So that's a ways off. Who knows how that's going to go? But then I got a couple coming up. I bought a ticket for Wishbone Ash up in Albany. I got a couple Albany shows. I'm going to see Steve Vai up in Albany and also Steve Hackett from Genesis up in Albany at the Egg. So we'll see. And Blue Oyster
Pete, is
Cult's
that
playing up. Blue Oyster Cult's playing up at the Egg too in March.
Is the Egg the
When-
venue that's in a mall, half in a shopping mall? Albany
It's
has
in
a
the
venue.
it's in the government center, right in the middle. Right. in
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Pete, I got 2 questions. When is the Blue Oyster Cult show? Because obviously I have to see them.
I think it's March 5th or 6th. It's on a Friday night. I think the Steve Vai show is on the third. Because the Steve Vai, I think the Steve Vai is on the Thursday and Blue Oyster Cult is on the Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
When's Wishbone Ash?
That is I don't have my phone. That's also in March.
Well,
All of these
I'll
are
look it up. Yeah, I'm well, I know Overkill is supposed to be in March,
Yeah.
and that's like the only concert I have in March so far. So I'm gonna go to both of those, Wishbone Ash and Blue Oyster Cult.
have you ever seen Wishbone Ash live before?
No, never.
They're amazing. I saw them at Beacon a couple of years ago. They were so good. So yeah, you should go.
I'm totally into it. And I obviously see Blue Oyster Cult like twice a year, so
Yeah.
definitely gonna do that. So all right, cool.
Ryan, I will say, because I know you're into some old Genesis, you should go see Steve Hackett too. That's all he plays mostly is old Genesis stuff. I think this year he's doing all of the Foxtrot album, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, fuck.
Something
That's
like
great.
that. I don't know. Say he's doing like one of
That's
the
cool.
Yeah,
You said they're all at the Egg in Albany.
all at the end.
I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna probably go to all 3 of those, honestly. As long as they happen, I'll go to all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll see. So for now, I'm not committing to anything else at this point. And most of those were fairly inexpensive tickets. So I think the Maiden was the most expensive, as you well know, but the others were fairly inexpensive. But you start dishing out $40, $50, $60, $70 for all these, and you have 5, 6 of
Heads
them,
up.
and then it adds up, right? And
Yeah.
then, if they don't happen, you're like, oh, crap, now what? So
Yeah.
So we'll
that's
see.
what I'm nervous about for the Ghost. I'm really nervous for Ghost because that at the time when I got the tickets, it was like right, when we were kind of in that, I call it like the concert gauntlet. Like I was back to like going to shows all the time, like Ryan was talking about. I went to a bunch of shows between like September, October, and November. And so when I got the tickets, I think in September, I was like, oh yeah, right, you know. And now we're back to here, and it's February 12th is the date of the show, and I'm very nervous because I really want to see the show. I haven't seen Ghost headline before, so saw them at a festival, but I haven't seen them headline. And two, it was not the cheapest of all tickets. So I'm like, oh.
I tell you, the one thing that gives me a little bit of hope, just a little bit, like the first time this happened, the government just came in, you know, city, town, whatever, and they're like, everything's canceled, you're shut down, you're not having anything. And that was it. It was just there was nothing to be done about it. So this time, I haven't, especially New York City, I can't speak for everywhere. I haven't seen them really doing that. I think they're still doing the masks and vaccine, but otherwise, as far as I know, like stuff is going on, but stuff's getting canceled because people are just getting sick. So it's like, well, you know, we were going to play, but the bass player and the drummer both got sick. So they're sidelined for a week or whatever. So hopefully, you know, like, but then once you get better in a couple of weeks, you'll be, all right, let's reschedule. We're good. Whereas an actual official lockdown, I feel like that's like, all right, lockdown for 6 months, no matter what. So hopefully that gives me some hope that this will last a little shorter, but again, I'm just trying to be optimistic.
Right.
We'll see. You know, trying to look for the silver lining with all this shit. So
Yeah.
And to switch gears to albums real quick, and Sydney, maybe you know a little better than me because I don't really follow them much, but isn't there supposedly a new Guns N' Roses album coming out this year?
That's like the question of like
The decade.
I had the answer to. Yeah, like they came out with, but all of the songs, the 2 singles that they came out with this year were like all like older songs. So like Absurd was like one that Axl wrote, you know, with not Slash, I think like a couple years ago. And then Heart School was one that, with I think it was DJ Ash, or not DJ Ash, but Bumblefoot. I think he wrote that with him like a couple years ago, like back
Buckethead.
And then Hard School, I think, was an old song. So it's like, I don't know if we're actually going to get a new album. Are we just recording old songs that we never released? I don't know. I would like to hear an album. I didn't really like Absurd that much. I liked Hard School though. So I'm hoping we'll see something. I really want to, you know, they've been together now for 5 years. They've, you know, been back together. So it's like,
Jesus.
Yeah. I think 2016 was when that tour started. So like you think after 5 years, you know, we're obviously getting along. Like now we're releasing new singles. Like you think that what would be next is an album. So I haven't heard anything officially. I'm hoping we hear something soon, maybe this year, but
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's going to be the big release, the hard rock or metal release this year. I mean, obviously, if they put something out, that's got to shoot at the top. I think a new Ozzy album is a big deal. You know, last year, the Megadeth is certainly a big deal. Last year, we had the Maiden. I mean, I know Priest is working on another album. So is that coming out?
I was going to ask. Priest is definitely working on something, but
so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I want to see another. If Black Sabbath continues with these box sets, they're amazing. These last round of box sets.
Yeah, I think that's gonna keep going too.
Isn't Ozzy singing? I thought I saw it today. Isn't Ozzy singing for a Tony Iommi song or something? I thought that I saw that online today.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know about Ozzy's health, man. Ozzy's health worries me. His health worries me. You know, not to go all buzzkill and any more bummer than we've already been talking about, but some of these guys are getting up there, and it's
scary.
Yeah, it is. So
I mean, I wasn't crazy about that last Ozzy album, but I want to hear a new one just because, you know, I want him to keep going and being Ozzy. You know, it's just.
I haven't liked his last X amount of albums. It's like, you know, for me, it's like I'd almost say crank out one more Black Sabbath album while you're all still alive. You don't have to.
Oh God, yeah, that would be nice. And I wasn't even crazy about 13, but yeah, to hear that would be. I mean, yeah, well, all 4 of them are alive, and you know, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like you know, like Spaghetti said, I don't want to get all morbid, but I always have this thing with some of those bands where it's like, you know, all the original guys from Motorhead were alive, then Filthy died, Lemmy died, and Fast Eddie died. And then you got the Ramones, all 4 of them kicked off within a fairly short amount of time, you know? So, I worry about that stuff. You know, like, don't want to get too more into that, but that's always in my head.
Yeah.
I think I read it wrong. I'm gonna have to confirm again. I'll confirm in the comments after, because I'm trying to read. I read an article, and the article headline says Tony Iommi is really pleased with how his new Ozzy Osbourne collaboration turned out, but I don't know if that's like on something that's like not a new thing, like a box set or something. I don't know. But that is a real headline, so I feel a little less. I feel better now that I'm not crazy that I didn't just make that
Well,
up.
if for nothing else, we need something from Tony. I mean,
Yeah.
whether Ozzy's
Yeah.
involved or not, I mean, forget this fragrance song. I mean, which is got some cool things to it, but I want a Tony Iommi album, or it's him to start up a new band or something. I mean, it's just we haven't seen anything from Tony other than that since the 13 tour ended.
Well, he did. I mean, in the last, I'm trying to think, going back, so he did that self-titled Iommi album a long time ago. Like that's probably '99. And that was good with all the different singers. Then he did the follow-up Fused, and I thought that was good too.
Great album.
And what else did he do? He did the Heaven and Hell album and 13. And I think that's the only 4 albums he's done. And you're talking like what? That's like 22 years worth of time or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember getting that Iommi album a long time ago. Yeah, he's done. I mean, hey, I guess if he wants to enjoy like his retirement these days, but yeah, you're right. He's got to do. Come on,
He doesn't have to tour, just put something out. It's like, I mean,
put something out.
I mean, I know Glenn Hughes is busy with Dead Daisies right now, but I would love another Hughes Iommi album.
Yeah, or what's Tony Martin doing? Like people sometimes bring that up. Is Tony Martin doing anything to get him around or
I saw
shit?
an interview with him recently, so I don't know.
He did something, right?
Yeah, he did
Just
like
recently.
like I saw he's been popping up in the headlines.
Yeah,
so.
he's got like a solo album or something. I think I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He's got a new album out. Yeah. Or work with somebody new, work with another singer that he's never worked with, or work with a new guy. Like who I honestly at this point, I don't give a fuck what he does. It's like I just want to hear like more music from Tony Iommi, I don't care who was in the band. Although obviously like if it was the original Sabbath guys, that would be ideal, but it could be anybody. Just get some good musicians together, write some music and do something, because I worry too, like with these, like you said, they get older. And some of these guys have cancer scares. Well, they get over the cancer, but everybody knows like you don't ever really get over cancer. It can always come back. It's never really gone. I hate to say it. I hate to be morbid, but you worry about that. Sometimes it goes away. Like that's what got Piggy. Like he's my favorite guitarist. We had cancer in the '80s, went away, came back, and then eventually it killed him in the early 2000s. It came back much more aggressively. So
Eddie Van Halen, like I'm pretty sure it came out that like. If his health had kind of gotten better, they were going to do something with Michael Anthony. Like they were all kind of, on the verge of just like getting over all the shit that they had in the past. And he died. And it's like, that fucking sucks. Like it's stuff like that where it's like just.
He battled a while, Eddie Van Halen.
He did.
It was a while and it went away and it came back, aggressively in different various forms or whatever. And so, yeah, you look at a lot of these bands and you're like, you guys are healthy as far as we know right now. You guys are alive. Like, just do something because I mean, what are we waiting for? Like just past grudges and shit. Like get over it. Come on, like one for old time's sake, while you still can. But that's just me.
Yeah, well, I know it's what we all want, right? But
yeah, I know.
So, well, I guess we'll see what happens, right? We're only January 3rd here, so there's a lot of days and time to come, and we'll see how this all unfolds in this crazy year. Will it be a year that's going to repeat the last 2? Will it be a little more prosperous for us? Will we see some really great metal this year? Will we see, some cool thrash albums? Will power metal be kind of big? Will it be extreme metal, prog? Who the hell knows, right? I guess time will tell. So there you have it, everybody. For everybody watching, just if you have any thoughts on how you think this year is going to go from a musical perspective, please put in the comments below. If you got any tours you want to see, or maybe that you have tickets for or that you're waiting on, put that down below as well. And anything that's on the release schedule that you think is going to make an impact that you're really looking forward to, talk about that below. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. But we're here, of course, on YouTube all the damn time. For Sydney Taylor, Ryan Scow, and Spaghetti Lee, I am Pete Pardo. See you next Monday with more stuff. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.